doing Kung Fu since I was 7. Trained with my father, who teaches Charlie Foot. Trained with my uncles, who trained in Hong Gar and Wing Chun. And then as I got older, my father and my uncle pushed me to Hong Kong to train with Wong Shun Na. You guys have heard of him, I'm sure. He's one of Yip Man's top disciples, and also Bruce Lee's older Kung Fu brother and instructor. I trained with him until his untimely passing, and then continued training with his other students, and and also dabbled in other things. Got a black belt taekwondo. I mean, just did amateur boxing, Thai boxing. Everything I could. Yeah, black belt. I know that doesn't count for much anymore. You can kind of buy those now.
Especially in Taekwondo. Especially in Taekwondo.
Oh, damn.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, every art is very important. I think, if you've done correctly. You've done correctly, but I martial arts is my life. I grew up doing that, and like other people brush their teeth, I get in my horse stance and brush my teeth.
Best way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, Vanessa, how did you get involved in martial arts and/or kung fu?
Well, when I was younger, I dabbled in like Phil, but not as intensely as him. But I did taekwondo a little bit. I did a little kempo and karate and stuff like that. But then when I was 13, I got more into dancing, street dancing. So I was doing popping, locking, and then, trying to learn some break moves. But that kind of what propelled me to passion. So that helped with choreography and film later on. But I always stuck with it. And when I shot my first film, that's when I met Philip. That's when I really got into the whole kickboxing. And then I really love boxing in general now, cardio and exercise, a form of exercise. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how I got into it as a kid. When you're a kid, you watch all the guys and, Jackie Chan and everybody, and then, playing with whether it's not O's that and Chucks, you just pick them up because it's culture, I guess. Yeah.
It's
nice.
Cool. What was that first movie where you met?
Star Runner.
Yeah, we did a movie. Van did a movie called Star Runner. It's I'm sure maybe you guys have heard of it. It's actually long. It's a much older movie, but it was the first. Well, I mean, we may not have seen it though, right? But anyway, so like it was a first for all of us because Vanessa came out of a TV show called Meteor Garden, which kind of blew him up to a really, really high status level as a pop star and a movie and like a TV star. And then it was my first gig as assistant choreographer. I've done like stunt work and stuff like that before, but it was my first gig as assistant choreographer. And then Andy came on. He won the Best Newcomer Award. So like, it was like we're all like freshmen at a school. So and then we all got really close together because I was in charge of training Vanessa and Andy for the movie. I mean, they didn't need much training, but Vanessa needed to look like a very convincing Hong Gar and Wing Chun practitioner. So I was in charge of that. So I mean, how we got so close was like, since I was in charge of training him, like every day, even outside of the office, I would take a cab and go to his hotel and train him every day. I mean, we end up just eating his room service and swimming in his pool most of the time. But I mean, we spent a lot of time together and it really developed our relationship starting there and then just kind of built from there.
Okay, well, so the next question is, how did you go from practical life kung fu and martial arts into cinema and television?
It was an arduous process, actually. I mean, because when I first started, they actually were complaining about my, like I was fighting too fast or I had a broken rhythm, because that's what's necessary for fighting for real. You can't have your opponent read you, right? But when you're making movies and you're fighting in a movie, it's like the opposite. You have to look like you're hurting each other, but you have to be able to read each other. So that was a big thing to get kind of that's a big hurdle to get over. But once you get over that, I mean, having a martial arts background actually helps because you need that kind of body structure and that framework to kind of perform those movements, convincingly. But learning this fighting on screen craft is definitely much different than fighting for real, And then as Vanessa can attest.
So, but again, how did you go out and audition for movies, or did people come to you?
I was hired on the stunt team. I was on the Chingalok stunt team. I was one of the first members on the stunt team. Yeah, and then you learn from there.
What did you say, Vanessa?
I said Phil actually stunt doubled for me a couple times in the first film, and then you doubled
Almost
Andy.
died.
Did you double Andy?
I doubled everybody. I mainly doubled you because Wong Sum, remember Sum Go? He was the double for Andy. I doubled for you mainly because you were tossed around by Andy a lot, and now my body's lighter, so
Yeah.
I doubled for you. So that's how we all started. I was a stunt coordinator as well as stuntman double, whatever. And then Vanessa was the star. Andy was the other lead, and then we just hung out together all the time. And I think the nature of the fact that we're all from the States, we all grew up overseas, and we're bicultural, but it is a funny thing for us is like when we're in the States, there's the Chinese guy, right? But when we're in Asia, we're like the foreigners because we grew up overseas, so we don't have our own like niche, right? So that's another reason why we're all real close. Vanessa has a lot of friends that are all speak English, from Taiwan as well,
So again, you're doing Kung Fu, your family sent you to Hong Kong. Was the thought always to get into television and movies, or was
actually no. My goal I just trained Kung Fu to train Kung Fu, and then and I always had a dream of coming to Hong Kong to do movies, and then once I got my master's degree, I talked to my parents, and I was like, I'm gonna come to Hong Kong and try it out for a few years, and now I've been here for 20 almost. So that was how I got into it.
So now we've got Undercover Punch and Gun, originally Undercover versus Undercover. And this is your project?
Yeah, I was the impetus for the project. Me and Vanessa and Andy were, we hung out all the time. We're always working on different projects. And I was like, it'd be really great if we can just get together and make our own movie, something that we want to do. And I was always very vocal about it. And then when I was making a movie with a producer named Charlie Wong, he heard about this idea, and he's an up-and-coming producer. He's like, do you guys want to get something together done? So, I kind of told him my idea. One thing led to another. He was in charge of helping me get financing, and I got all the crew together, got my brothers, Vanessa and Andy, and I got some of the other actors, get everything together, and, and then make this movie. I mean, we went through a few directors first, a few scripts, but eventually we landed on working with Lui Gun Lam and Frankie Tam. They're very prolific script writers in Asia, and then first-time directors, so they wrote the script and they directed the stuff, and I was in charge of all the action. I designed all the action and directed it and choreographed all that stuff. And,
nice.
Yeah, but Vanessa, without Vanessa and Andy, the movie would not have been happened. So you should ask Vanessa why he did it.
I will. Let me think about. I have to think about what question I'm going to ask Vanessa next. Vanessa,